it's reopened. Well, I suppose that's good. You need to keep up the footfall. Everything has to move on.
Well, yes, but, you know, it is still your museum, Morris. It wouldn't be here without you.
Ah, it was never my museum, Sparky. It was Shelmerston's. It's changing, but, you know, I think it should. So, what happens now? How do we find 4,000-year-old memories?
Ah, come with me, Morris. There's one more thing I ought to show you.
Okay, Sparky.
Oh my gosh, this is getting so intense. Welcome back, guys, to another episode of I Am Dead. And I don't know if this is the final one, but it very well could be. But let's just get going. The Morlo Cull, the history of the barbaric slaughter of the Morlos. Their use in industry and the Save the Morlos campaign, which finally ended the annual cull and made them a protected animal in the waters of Shelmerston. Okay, so they were probably used, like, for their organs, their blubber, that kind of stuff. Flying disc. How did the disc make it here? Who is this? Oh yeah, Cersei Jackson. Cersei is back on Shelmerston after a lifetime away. Her mom worked the shrimp trawlers and her dad was from the famous baking family in the Old Town. Cersei left the island for university to read history at Cambridge, but didn't finish her degree. Instead, she ran off with the circus, touring Northern Europe with her innovative and daring equestrian act. Her collection of tutus and spangly leotards is now in the V&A Museum. How funny. But time took its toll and she returned to Shelmerston looking for quite her life. She found it in the museum, the place that first ignited her love of history. She knows Morris has done a good job and respects his vision, but is keen to add to the collection a study of the fish people, a history of the Bracken harvest, ethical shrimping. She can't wait. It sounds like she's gonna be busy. Okay. Oh, wow. Okay. Annual Shelmerston versus Appledore cricket match. Audrey Pinkering hoping to be the next Queen of the Sea. Christie Brothers vying to be the next Queen of the Sea. Interesting. Festival of the Sea. For as long as anyone can remember, the people of Shelmerston have celebrated the Festival of the Sea, which takes place at the midsummer equinox, a family of feasting and sports. Traditional sea breads are baked to cast into the dormant volcano crater on Shelmerston Peak to give thanks to the spirit of the island for its protection. Oh. The final day of the festival is known as Aggie's Day, named after the mythological figures such as saved the island in ancient times and marked mostly by fish folk, both local and wild, gathering together on the beach and singing songs in their native language. Wow. Oh my gosh, there's so much to look at here. Oh, it's the cricket bat. Vulcan Crown is worn each year, but the Queen of the Sea, traditionally the Queen is the girl who is judged to have best sea-themed hairstyle at the previous festival. How funny. And a cricket ball, of course. Oh, okay, so they have, the Festival of the Sea is when they have the cricket match. And the sand spit at low tide. The Sinistral Shell. These shells are extremely rare. Examples of shells that are left-handed, they turn anti-clockwise. Oh, these shells are often played by fish folk as an accompaniment to their songs. Cricket bales. Sea bread. Until the practice... Oh, they were infused with Morlo oil. Wow. These days, extra virgin olive oil is considered an acceptable substitute. Oh, wow. These breads are cast into the volcanic crater on the first day of the Festival of the Sea, after which the whole town sings together, O thank ye, earthbound one. An ancient hymn of unknown origin. Wow. Okay. I have a feeling we're gonna be here all day if I continue just going on. So, I'm hoping that you guys will pick up this game as well and come and take a look. I'll probably come back to look at all this stuff later, but I don't, as much as I want to, I don't think I have all day to read all of this stuff. Oh, but I love museums like this. So cool. I'm definitely going to come back to read all of this. Oh, the owl. It's got a really long wingspan. Oh, here we go.
Well, don't suppose I'll ever look at Aggie's room the same way again, will I?
Morris,
Wow.
take a look at those skulls, please.
The skulls?
They have
Well,
memories.
they have memories inside them? Oh, that's rather morbid, Sparky.
Not quite. Look, I didn't explain this before because I felt things were confusing enough, but that slicing is a bit more powerful than I've led you to believe.
Oh, well, what do you mean?
Well, we aren't limited to memories of people who are alive. People are bounded by time, but memories aren't. Check it out.
There's a lot to unpack in this game for sure. Oh, wow. So this is Aggie, the Bog Lady of Shelmerston. Number of her possessions. So these, according to the lore, are all hers. Oh, okay. So she was found at the foot of the volcano. Interesting. Okay. The body of a woman in her 40s, superbly preserved by the peat she was dug from. Oh, it's a calendar. Calendar, coin, jewels, hooks, needles, arrowheads, a bunch of figures, a flute. Oh, okay, so we have human skulls and also a fish person skull. Interesting. Alright, let's go for the first memory, I suppose. Oh.
Oh, I didn't think dead stomachs could get queasy, but here we are. Where are we, Sparky?
When are we, Morris? This is Shelmerston in Aggie's time. You should be able to find some memories of her here.
You are some dog, Sparky.
Oh, interesting. Oh. Cool. Well, Beryl prepares. Okay, cool. Oh. Unap's hut. Let's talk to this lady. Unap, one of the village elders and widely respected for her advice and wisdom. This is so cool. What if this actually could happen?
It was the worst night in the world when Aggie was born. It began in the old village, the one swept away by the rivers of fire. The ground shook and the earth split open and spat sparks. The sun hid and the huts burst into flame as we fled.
Oh my gosh.
I thought we would all die. Everyone washed in the burning orange death. And Aggie's mother howling with the pain of the child coming. We made it as far as the cliff top by the sea. The mountain was still roaring and roaring. The rock ran in rivers toward the sea. The air smelled of death and poison. But Aggie was perfect. Small and angry, her tiny fists pummeling the air. I used my knife to cut the cord. We chose a spot for the new village closer to the beach. The burning rivers cooled to pumice and black glass. I made sure everyone knew that a life that began in this way would be special. Not everyone believed me, but Aggie proved me right.
Wow.
My goodness. Giving birth like that must have been awful. What a terrifying situation.
So, where do you think that knife is? Should we look around here, or...?
No, I'm pretty sure I've seen that knife before. Back at the museum, I reckon.
Okay, Morris, let's go.
Interesting. Peebly? Peebly and Anya. Anything else that we can look at here? Don't think so. Let's see, anybody else with memories? Don't think so. Let's go back to the museum. Wow. Knife. Knife. No. There it is. Bronze ritual knife.
Beautiful. And to think that people had not long stopped using flint tools when this was made.
There is so much history in this knife.
Ooh.
I'd love to see what else it got up to.
Yeah, me too. Let's see the description of it. This knife has been passed down through the generations in Selmerston for as long as anyone knows, always entrusted to the person on the island thought best able to look after it. Although its origin and original purpose have been lost to time, it has always felt like an important piece of Shelmerston history. Well, yeah, I mean, now that we're finding out a little bit about it, it really does seem way more important.
The scent of Grenkins again, Morris. I'll pop up to let you know when we're close to one.
Okay. Let's go back. Oh, the next one. Okay, perfect. Let's go to this one. Oh my gosh, it was just a little kid? That's so sad. Oh, I don't want this to be Peebly. Grandpa's hut. They're waiting for Unaf to bring back wood for the fire. Ooh. Obviously gathering sticks. Oh, look, birdies! They look like quails. I would like a quail, please. Oh my gosh, you guys, one time we went to this bird farm and they had button quails, and I just wanted to put them all in my pocket because they were so cute. Ketsi learned many things from Kirk, the fish person, about how best to raise village goats. Oh. I hear chickens. Oh, there's chickens! Oh my gosh. And that art style of this game, I'm just dead because it's so beautiful. Ceremonial stone. For as long as anyone can remember, this carved stone has been the spiritual heart of the island. It is where offerings are made, children are blessed, and the dead are honored. Oh, it's a little smaller than I was expecting. Okay, oh, here we go. Oh, it's a fish person. Okay, cool. The priestess had Safi. The priestess is busy preparing a tourniquet for Kirk. Oh. Kirk is one of the few fish people to regularly visit the village and share knowledge with the villagers. That's very nice of them to do that.
Of course we watched her. We had heard of her birth and seen her on the shore. Her feet sometimes in the seawater, her body in the sun. We did not show ourselves at first. As a test, we left the mirror on the black shore, born of the volcano on the same day as her, and waited to see what would happen, to see if it called to her. She picked it up, turned it from side to side. She took it home. The next time I saw her, I introduced myself. We sang together, and I showed her how the mirror worked. How if you emptied your mind and thought of air and light and sea, you would see things in its surface. How things would unfurl in the future. Aggie was better at mirror gazing than any of us sea folk. She saw a girl, her own daughter not yet born, as leader of the dry folk. I told Aggie to keep on gazing into that mirror, that one day the island would need something more than a leader.
No, I passed it. Can you imagine, like, looking into the future and realizing that
Oh, I had a
there's
box
so much
of blocks
more.
that looked like that mirror somewhere. Where did I put it?
probably in the museum. Okay, so this is as far as we can go. So let's go ahead and head back. Oh. Oh my goodness gracious. Miscellaneous volcanic rock, 1986. There it is. So beautiful. I would like one.
Whoa. This thing is really powerful, Morris. Can you feel it?
It's quite beautiful, that's for sure. This piece of volcanic rock is very finely polished with swirling patterns carved on the reverse. Yeah, so that definitely makes it stand out. To the next skull. Another kid? That's so sad. Safi, the High Priestess, has spent the morning cleaning the stone and is now blessing it. You can see the puppy face! Alright, oh there, I saw it. I saw it between the trees. Rupa has just finished weaving this fine blanket for Otzel. Otzel is the oldest person on the island and the only one with 2 huts. Jetrick is sprucing up the clean area in advance. Ah. Well, let's keep going. There they are. The hunters. Oh, wait a second. Ibni is giving Anya a bow lesson. So is Anya a bit more grown up now? Oh no, Anya's still very small. Small baby. We're all... Okay, so this is all around the same time, I think. I don't think that there's a lot of difference in age of the, like, the skulls, or where they're bringing us to, I think. Aggie's daughter. Oh, so this is after Aggie is passed on.
I was always fearless. My mother Aggie told me there was nothing I couldn't do. With Otsul and without, I hunted the deer in the woods and the hares on the mountain, all before I had taken my first lover.
Wow, first lover even?
And younger still. One time Aggie had me knock her tooth out when she was in terrible pain. I didn't mind even when the blood poured out. It was easy for me.
Oh, memory of the Morlo Festival.
Spears and knives were my nature. Death and courage were my meat and drink. I knew about Aggie's mirror, of course, but did not believe all of it. When Aggie warned us the Morlo was sick and there would be fewer calves for the following years, none of us listened. It was to be my first cull. I wanted their blood. It was my nature. We would not take less of the Morlo just because an old woman told us to.
What? But Aggie died when she was 40, like she wasn't old.
She came to the beach after the Morlo slaughter, her hair wild, eyes burning with fury, raged and shouted like a woman out of her mind. We had killed too many, she said. Then she left the village, told us she was done with all of us, forever.
What?
As Otsul marked me with oil and blood, I did not mourn my mother leaving. I was young and foolish, and the sight of her ashamed me. But of course, I did not see what was to come.
Oh, that's so relatable, isn't it? Oh my gosh.
To think that they were still having the same arguments about the Morlo way back in the Bronze Age.
Aggie must have sensed the trouble ahead. maybe she was trying to find a way to prevent it.
Okay, so I guess that this is here, since they haven't really made mention of it being elsewhere. Oh, that's what he's doing. He's chopping it up. Right, is this here? Oh, so it's back to the museum. Okay, so I guess we gotta go. Bye. Oh, is it here? Here it is. Bone-carved Morlo lamp, oil lamp. After the Morlo cull, the oil and blood were collected and used to decorate the faces of those who had taken part. I wonder how they know that.
What a beautiful object. Delighted to have it in our museum.
Yeah, but it's got so much sad history behind it. Alright, let's keep going. All the way down here this time. Oh. At least it's not a kid this time, right? That was so sad. His face is just like... Okay. I mean, I understand back then, in the Bronze Age, they needed to have meat and stuff like that to survive on, but killing in excess was obviously a terrible idea. Oh, and Aggie knew that, and I wonder if she, in the mirror, she saw something having to do with that. Oh, it's a fish person. Goats and fish folk have always had a long-standing bond, really? They look so cute. Alright. This is Crick, one of the few fish people who regularly visit the island and share knowledge with the visitors. Or with the villagers. Aggie's friend!
She was alone, and I would bring her food sometimes, samphire and sea urchins. She would make dry food and we would eat it together. Textures unlike any we knew that broke apart in your hands and in your mouth. We would sing together, make tea together. We became her family. The dry folk left her alone.
So that's why they have such a long history.
She had a companion for a few seasons, a hind, who came down from the mountain and slept at her fire. And then, for a few more, a golden hair that ate from her hand. One night we all felt it. Those of us in the water and those above. The island waking, rumbling, alive again, more furious than before. I found Aggie awake, tending her fire, unsleeping, unresting, staring into her mirror. She told me she'd seen the island sinking into orange fire and boiling sea, lost forever above and below. The village and our town in the sea caves, all gone. Aggie went to the shore and blew the sinistral shell, calling our people up from the water. Aggie sang for them, the oldest song, and we spoke for some time. That night, the sea and sky was all the same color, a deep grey blue like a mackerel's back without the glitter. As the dawn approached, Aggie left the beach to return to her people, to tell them what must be done.
Oh man.
I'm not sure I want to see what happens next.
We have to, Morris.
But why? Pretty sure it was in the first display. This one, right? Yep.
such a small thing. But it changed the entire course of our island.
Oh my gosh. Alright, now the fish person one. Oh my gosh. This is so cute though, like, I love the simplicity of it all. Like looking back and, I don't know. Oh, everybody's here! Otzel's story. Every week the entire village gathers for a communal lunch while they're waiting for it to cool down. Otzel tells them another installment of his very long story. It's quite a big tribe actually. Alright, let's go.
We heard the shell and knew Aggie had returned. Ibni was the leader then. It had taken many seasons, more than we would have liked, but there were finally enough Morlo again and our village was growing. We were strong. Some of the younger ones didn't know Aggie and didn't want to hear her. Called her a moon-shot crone.
Wow.
But Ibni looked in her mother's face and saw the truth of it. The end would come. The earth was growling again. There would be hot rivers of death and clouds of poison. But Aggie brought us the answer. She would give herself to the island. Ibni's voice shook. Surely a deer or a goat would be enough. The year's finest, blackest calf. Aggie cast down her eyes and shook her head. We all knew. I offered my blade, but Aggie turned me away. She took her knife that had cut her own cord the night the volcano last erupted and wrapped Ibni's fingers tight around the bone hilt. It must be you, Ibni, she said, and it must be now before the sun comes up. This day, this morning, or we are all gone. The village, the people, the island.
Oh my gosh, can you imagine asking your daughter to kill you to save your people? That is crazy.
Aggie embraced her daughter. Ibni whispered something, but I could not catch the words. Both women's faces shone with tears. Aggie sat on the ceremonial stone, the tears streaming now from all of us.
No, I passed it. No? Oh, there it was. It's the puppy stone.
Aggie delivered her final message. She told us her body must not be burned or given to the sea, but lain in the earth of the island beneath the mountain. Ibni was shaking, and then I realized it was not just Ibni. The whole island was trembling under our feet, waking up. Aggie told Ibni to be quick, the end was coming.
Oh my gosh.
As Aggie took Ibni's hand and guided the knife to her side, we saw the fish folk rising from the sea, hundreds of them, so many. I had no idea there were so many. Aggie was quiet the whole time, but Ibni cried out. A sound of longing and hurting from her heart like I had never heard. Then she fell silent, and as Aggie's life poured from her body, the island and everything on it fell suddenly still. Utterly still. We wept then, in sorrow and relief. Then the fish folk were among us, countless, numberless. One embraced Ibni, holding her up as it seemed her own legs might give way. When the sun came up that day, land and sea folk stood together for the first time, talking and singing the old songs, Aggie's songs, together. Ibni and the fish folk took Aggie up onto the mountain. They laid her in the peat alongside the knife and all the things she would need on her journey.
Oh.
Ibni watched over Aggie for days afterwards. Before she was covered, she placed a sacred carved stone, Aggie's beloved hair, inside her mother's mouth to guide her and help her keep the mountain still forever. And so it was.
That's it. We gotta find that hair. No, so sad.
Oh, Aggie. Now that's bravery.
Oh my gosh, you guys. Well, at least we know where this is. Oh. 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 We have to keep going. Oh. Wow. Oh, Aggie. There it is. Oh, man.
Hey, Sparky, it feels a bit, well, disrespectful looking inside Aggie's body like that.
You were the one who dug her up and put her on a plinth, Morris.
Yeah, but I...
Relax, Morris. This body isn't Aggie anymore. She's long past needing this old thing.
Well, all right then.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, Morris. I'll level with you. We absolutely didn't need to find Aggie's mementos in order for me to sniff her out. She's here, waiting for you. She has been this whole time.
But then, why did we need to visit the Bronze Age?
Aggie thought it was important for you to see those memories, so you would understand her path before you met her. But also, wasn't it cool?
That was cool.
That it was. The things I've seen now. Oh, Sparky, thank you so much. To think, for a while there, I was worried that being dead was gonna be boring.
You are very welcome, Morris. Okay, so, shall we go say hello to Aggie?
Yes.
Oh.
Morris, Sparky, it's so good to see you both.
Hey, Aggie.
Wait, you know me?
Of course I do. Morris Lupton, one of the best-loved men in the history of Shelmerston, with the very finest dog.
Me? Oh, I don't know.
Come now, let's go out of this place, into the air.
The one part of Shelmerston that looks just the same as the first day I saw it. I suppose it always will.
I love this beach. It's always been my favorite beach. I'm gonna go run.
Aggie, look at Sparky. She's shining.
That's the hope and the joy shining out of her.
That's it, isn't it? The point of all of this.
It is hope, home. This island, it chose the two of you just as it chose me.
And where will you be heading now? Heaven or something?
Heaven, what's that?
Well, I don't quite know how to explain it. But to me, it would be an awful lot like this beach.
I don't know where I'm going, but I'm hoping to see Ibni, my daughter. It's been a very long time, but I remember her. We never forget the ones we love, do we, Morris?
No, I don't suppose we do.
I think she wants something, Morris.
Ah, would you look at that? I just found a tennis ball in my pocket. Here you are, girl.
Oh my gosh, is that it? What's gonna happen? Oh no. So does that mean that the volcano erupted? We'll never know. Well, they were talking about hope at the end, so maybe, I don't know. I don't want to talk about the ending because I don't feel like it's open. It's absolutely open to interpretation. And guys, it felt so good and it was so sad. And it's got such heavy topics, but it's dealt with in such a beautiful way. And the art was amazing, and the stories were amazing, and the journey was so good. To take a look into, like, because we don't know what's gonna happen, and to take a look into a speculation of that's something that so delicate to tread on. And I think that this was done really well. Oh my god, this is so good. If you guys have the chance to play this, I highly suggest you do. There were a lot of things that I skipped over and I didn't read just for the video's sake, and but if you guys have the chance to, definitely go through and comb through everything. There's so much detail in this game. It's gorgeous. And I really appreciate the work that these guys have done. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming on this journey with me, guys. If you liked it, go ahead and hit the like button. If you have any comments, questions, concerns, any stories you want to share with me, I'd be down for that. Go ahead and leave them below. And otherwise, if you want to subscribe for the next journey with me, go ahead and hit subscribe. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye.